Tell me in the comments if that was less than 1 minute. Tell me. Just go ahead and be honest with me. We've got about 24 minutes before the news. As is my custom, I'm going to say what I need to say. I need to be in my car in 20 minutes, and then I need to drive off, mate, be on the road for another 25 minutes. I'm going to be in my house at the dinner table by 7:35. That's the goal, okay? So let's just go ahead and jump on here real quick. I can see you guys jumping on. I had to switch from my phone data to Wi-Fi only because I think it's better now. Tell me in the comments if it's clearer now. Because, you know, I'm all about bringing you the best possible experience. And I'm using my lavalier mics, my little Rode mics, just to bring you the best sound possible. Yeah, I think that's a bit clearer, I think. Yeah, actually, yeah, I think so too. I'm using my lavalier mics, my little Rode mics. There you go. There you go. Bring you the best sound. Yeah. So the Wi-Fi is better than the data on this one. Great. Do me a favor, if you can. Sling this broadcast to people that you think. You know what it means to sling? You know, like David's sling, the little stone, the pebble, you sling it, okay? In LBC, Long Beach, California, they sling dope. You know, they sell dope. But I don't want you to do that. What I need you to do is to sling this broadcast to people that you think would be interested in this conversation. I love these short ones because I'm in here in under 30 minutes, you know, and I love them short and sweet. I love that. Thank you so much. Let me read some of your comments. Bo Allen, I see you. Gibby, good evening, Mr. Ware, loud and clear. Kennedy, thank you so much. Please say hi to Sydney from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I've never even heard of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. You know where that is? I have no idea. Bo Allen, I see. Actually, it's clearer now. It says mwape. It says mwape here. I was saying earlier, have you ever seen anything more vain than that? I need to switch this. Right. Just need to get that in the frame. A young man came to my office a few years ago, might have been 3 years ago, and he brought this portrait. He drew this of me, and he said, Mr. Mwewa, I have something for you. I'm an avid follower of your page. I said, really? He says, yeah, I'm so avid, he said, I drew a portrait of you. I said, is this a gift? He says, yes, it's a gift, but you have to buy it. Only in Zambia, mate. Only in Zambia will an artist come to sell you a depiction of you in the hopes that you will advertise his business so that he can make more money. But he's going to sell it to you, okay? So that is a young version of me. I no longer look like this. This must have been, I don't know, 15 years ago. He took a 15-year-old picture and he pencil drew this piece of art. So I've put it there just to be different. But I find that very vain. I do. Okay. Let's get into it. The very first thing I want to talk to you about is I want to tip you on, for those of you that want to be a participant in government. First of all, you must understand that if you choose to involve yourself in governance, you must first of all understand that it is a service to the people of Zambia. Yes, we know there are perks, there are benefits that come along with being a government participant. We understand that. But the desire for perks, once they override your desire for service, then you're in it for the wrong reasons. It's like being a doctor. Yes, there are some countries it's very lucrative to be a doctor, okay? But first and foremost, it is a calling. It is a deep-seated, a deep-rooted calling to help people. You reap the benefits by virtue of your training. That's a given. But the calling comes first. In the same vein, by the same token, anyone that wants to serve in politics has to understand it's service first. Be weary of anyone that uses the word rule. I'm always amused when I hear these young politicians, oh, if we ruled and we're going to rule again, well, you're not going to rule anything. Zambia is not a monarchy. We do not have kings, queens, emperors, sultans. We only have people that are elected by the people. Therefore, government officials or public servants, as we know them, are of service to their communities and to the people at large. Okay, so if you lose sight of that, first and foremost, then you're in it for the wrong reason. So, and one of the things that oftentimes trips up, ensnares Zambian politicians is this idea that they suffered during the struggle so that now they're in power, they can accumulate as much as possible. That's always a trap, because eventually when you leave power, when power escapes you, you're going to have to stand in front of a judge somewhere and account for your amassed wealth. Now, of course, if you can explain it, that you're fine and dandy to do that. You're fine to do that. But if you can't explain it, you land yourself in trouble. So here's the number one secret, I believe. One of the secrets, it's not the only secret. It's one of the secrets. When you get into government and you want to sort of exert yourself as some type of entrepreneur, always get a loan. Just do it the right way. The moment you start cutting corners and you all of a sudden begin to amass incredible amounts of unexplainable wealth, you attract attention. And when you attract attention, it could potentially be a problem for you. Case in point, Bowman Lusambo, by his own admission, his own mouth, he was sitting on a podcast, the Z podcast, and those boys asked him, Bowman was riding high on the saddle, sitting in this beautiful, opulent home. I mean, everything in there was perfectly crafted. He looked like a king, he walked like a king, he carried himself like a sultan. And when asked the question, how did you manage to amass this wealth, and how much did this house cost? You remember his response. Now, this was at a time when the PF were in power. So he was, in a sense, he was insulated. He was protected by the powers that be. Therefore, he, in his mind, he could say anything he wanted. As far as he knew, as far as he was concerned, he was protected. So he could afford to be careless with his mouth. Bowman famously said, have you seen my wife? I mean, the perfume for my wife is enough to pay lentils for someone. Lentils? Bowman, have you lost your cotton picking kabushi crazy mind? Lentils? All of this, he used to spew make these broad stroke statements. In a sense saying, we're so rich, we're so powerful, you pale into utter insignificance compared to the wealth that my wife and I have. All of these things were traps that were set by himself. And when it got to the part where he began to explain how much the house cost, I mean, literally, he put his foot in his mouth. Remember, he said, tell me in the comments before I say it, how much did Bowman say his house cost? I'll highlight it here when you say it. You know, let's have a little bit of an interaction here on social media. I know you know it. Go ahead, just tell me. Bowman was asked, how much was this house? He gave a number. Do you remember the number? Tell me one of you is going to get it. You know, this is the great thing about social media is that it's almost better than Chat GPT. Now, when I see you, Kabushi cotton picking mine. You ain't lying. I tell you what. No, he didn't say $5 million. He said $3 million. Now, what is a civil servant? What is a government employee? What is a public official doing with $3 million US? It's not a problem to have $3 million. The problem is having to explain how you acquired $3 million. Any one of us, I mean, anybody can wake up one morning and have a trunk load of cash, cold, hard US dollars. That's not the problem. The problem is having to explain how you acquired it on your salary as a government representative, as a public official, and as an elected official. That's where the problem is. So here's the thing, guys. This is what I believe, because this is how I was taught. Okay, my father served, he was a politician for many, many years. He always said, if you want to do something, do the right thing. Go to the bank, get a loan, pay back the loan. When you demonstrate that you acquired an amount of money that is within your means. Now, of course, if you want to be entrepreneurial and you have the entrepreneurial skills to acquire huge and vast amounts of wealth, that's fine, as long as you have a paper trail that legitimizes, a paper trail that demonstrates, kuti chine, this money you have was acquired through the right channels. When you get a loan, you, in my view, and based upon the advice my old man gave me many, many years ago, is that if you jump the queue, if you jump the line, people will ask you questions. But if you follow the rules, if you stand in line and wait 5 hours while you watch your friends jumping the queue and getting results in 2 minutes, pay no attention to them. Be focused on what you're doing. As long as your business is legitimate, as long as you can demonstrate that you have the capacity, the wherewithal, the dexterity, and the business acumen to pull off this venture, and convincingly, you're fine. But the moment you veer off that track, the moment you begin to attract questions that don't add the dots, questions that do not cross the T's and dot the I's, honey, you will dance in perekete or is it in porokoto. It saddened me today. I mean, Bowman has he's serving, tell me in the comments, is it 4 years currently today? 4 years? He's serving. Stacy B, I see you. He's serving about 4 years. Add to that, put on top of that, today he was given an additional 3-year sentence. Why? Because he couldn't explain the vast amount of wealth that he accumulated in the short time that he was a servant of the people. Granted, and we must emphasize this point, and we must be very clear on this point. There's nothing wrong with amassing wealth, but there's everything wrong with amassing unexplained wealth. This is where these politicians lose it. And this is why I keep saying the dispensation. Hear me when I tell you this. I know every time I say this, I'm always misunderstood because people invariably will say, no, you mwewa, you only want rich people to be presidents. You only want rich people to be in positions of power and political positions. No. What I'm saying is, gone are the days of voting in paupers as political leaders. Understand that. During Kaunda, that was a different dispensation. It was a different time. Things were different. The Zambia of 1962 is not the Zambia of 2025. So you cannot take the same rules now and apply them to 1962 because the country was different. The population was different. The mindset was different. Everything was different. The focus was freedom. Freedom at all costs. Now it's different. It is folly. It's foolishness. It is dull to elect a leader who has nothing. You take him to State House. What do you think he's going to do? You think he's going to serve the Zambian people? No, man. It's like a little child that's starving. He hasn't had any food for weeks. He's parched. He hasn't drank any water for any length of time. And then all of a sudden you let him loose in a little candy shop with all the meat pies and shawarmas and fruticanas and what do you think he's going to do? He's going to feed himself first and then maybe attend to his friends. Those are not the types of leaders we want. That's not to say, let's be clear, because I know Zambians and I know human nature. Someone is going to say, no, mwewa, are you telling me that rich people are not greedy? They are. They're probably even worse. But this is the reason we must scrutinize. We must look closely at the character of our presidential, parliamentary, and councillor ward level candidates. Look at them, examine them, ask them pertinent questions. Questions that border on intrusion. Problem in Zambia, we don't want to be intrusive. You have to be. To get to the bottom of the character of an individual, you have to be intrusive. You have to ask the tough questions. You have to probe the questions that are uncomfortable. How did you acquire this wealth? Where is the track record? How do we know that when you get to that seat, you're not going to plunder this nation for your own personal aggrandizement? Those are the things we have to ask. Bowman Lusambo came from humble beginnings. There's nothing wrong with coming from humble beginnings. But there's everything wrong when your sight is set on amassing wealth by any means necessary and then being so careless as to say, this house I'm living in cost $3 million. Have you seen my wife? You know, my wife, the perfume that my wife wears is enough to pay lentils for someone. You see, when you talk like that, you do not endear the public to you. The Word of God says pride comes before a mighty fall. And I just abbreviated that. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying, okay? All righty. Well, that's the deal. We've got 6 minutes before the news. What else did I say I was going to talk about? Panti fotulala batwali. Fotualu kula no mbaifwe. Utili na wisha fiorela. Nakashi chaya. Church the chayeks. All right. Kalaba, Chongo, and the Mohabi Lungu met today. I want to pick up on something Mohabi Lungu said earlier. It might have been yesterday or the day before, whenever it was. Mohabi Lungu, in reference to Harry Kalaba, said that Harry Kalaba cannot claim to be a major contender when you look at the results that are garnered just at ward level. You know, these presidential candidates, they want to put the cart before the horse. You want to be president, you don't have a single ward chairman, you don't have a single representative in parliament there, but you yourself, you want to be president with no representation in parliament, no representation on the elected representation on the ground, elected, not people who say, earlier I saw a comment. I was talking about Binwell. I said, Binwell needs to put his house in order. Be prepared. Set goals that are attainable. Don't build castles in the sky. There's nothing wrong with being ambitious, but there's everything wrong with being delusional. The Word of God says, how does a man build a house without first counting the cost? Okay, now, let's not get it twisted, because, I know when I say this, some of you will come, no, Nilesa, God is the one who's chosen. No, God hadn't done that. God creates the tree. You and I make the furniture. We select our leaders. God doesn't come down from heaven and starts throwing names in a ballot box. Does he do that? No, you and I do that. Okay, so let's not get that twisted. So my point is, Muhabi Lungu said, if indeed Harry Kalaba is a contender as he claims, which he's not, at least not yet, not now, if he sticks with it long enough, if he's consistent long enough, if he stays on message long enough, because these young people have to understand that it is the long haul that garners results. It's not going to happen by spontaneous combustion. It's not going to happen by osmosis. It's going to happen by grit. It's going to happen by patriotism, desire of service, a dogged determination to get the job done, to get your voice heard. You have to be consistent, and you have to be in it for the long haul. Meaning, when you fail in 2026, there's 2031. When you fail in 2031, there's 2041. When you fail in 2041, there's 2051. When you fail in 2051, we take you to the grave. I came out wrong. I did. All right. My point is keep at it. Okay, that's my point. Okay, 2 minutes before the news. Nah, I ain't never ne. Nah, to chill wife with. Kantu wa madam mara mukuzanda kungando kujinde fimwa isadet chidishan. Right. All right, guys. I do love you. I do. Good night. Bye.